He watched in silence as his wife led another man into their guest room that very night. He watched as the man pushed her onto the bed, the betrayal cutting deeper than any wound. All along, Chief Williams had only been pretending to be blind, pretending to be crippled, all to test his wife's loyalty. But what he discovered that night was something no one could have ever imagined. Before we get back to this point, let's go back to where it all started. Chief Williams, a very rich and respected 35-year-old billionaire, had just gotten married to a beautiful, charming woman known as Agnese. Their love was stunning and admirable, such that everyone around wished they could experience that kind of love. But after some time, he started hearing rumors that his wife might be cheating on him. Some sent him unknown pictures of his wife with another man at a night party. Others sent pictures of her flirting and dancing with other men, and it began to bother him deeply. But still, Chief Williams didn't act so fast. He thought those images may be AI-generated or probably edited by jealous people who wanted to destroy their marriage. So he decided to do something strange. He called his private doctor, Dr. Elvis, and told him, "Doctor, I want to act like I'm blind and crippled." Dr. Elvis looked shocked. He said, "Chief, are you sure about this? I hope you won't regret the outcome of what you're planning." But Chief Williams stood firm. He said, "No, doctor. I need to test my wife's loyalty. I need to know if my wife truly loves me for who I am, or if she only loves my wealth. This is the only way I can isolate her and see her true heart." The doctor looked at him again and said, "Chief, I'm warning you, this kind of test might destroy everything if you're not careful." But Chief Williams replied, "Let it destroy it, if it must. I'd rather live with the truth than die with a lie." And from that moment, the plan began. Chief Williams would pretend to be blind and crippled not because he lost his sight or lost his feet, but because he wanted to see something deeper, the truth hidden in his wife's heart. That morning, Chief Williams finally decided to carry out his plan. His wife, Agnese, had gone to visit a friend in town, which made it the perfect moment to begin. He called Dr. Elvis again and said calmly, "It's time. Send the ambulance to the old highway near Green Palm Road. I'll make it look like an accident." Dr. Elvis sighed heavily. "Chief, are you sure you want to go this far?" But Chief Williams only said, "Doctor, sometimes, to know who truly loves you, you must lose everything, even if it's just for a while." A few minutes later, an ambulance van quietly parked a few meters away from the tall palm trees that lined the deserted road. 2 of the hospital's emergency workers were inside. The doctor had just sent them to that location, but they never knew why he decided to do so. Chief Williams got into his sleek black SUV and drove himself out that morning. For the first time in many years, he told his driver to take the day off. He wanted to drive himself. He drove slowly down the quiet road, the morning breeze brushing through the window. Then, right at the spot they agreed on, he took a deep breath. He turned the steering slightly and slammed the car gently against a thick tree by the roadside, enough to make it look real, but not enough to hurt him. Within seconds, the ambulance lights flashed red. The 2 men drove to the scene. They rushed out and pulled out Chief Williams from the car, thinking it was a real emergency. Sir, can you hear me?" He didn't respond. He kept his eyes shut, pretending to be unconscious. They lifted him carefully onto a stretcher and pushed him into the ambulance. That was how the act began. At the hospital, Dr. Elvis played his role perfectly. He gave orders like it was a real emergency, had nurses move around in panic, and placed Chief Williams in a private room. His face was wrapped in bandages, his eyes covered, and his legs bound to a frame to make him look completely disabled. Minutes later, Dr. Elvis picked up his phone and dialed Agnese. "Hello, Mrs. Agnese," he said in a serious tone. "Yes, Dr. Elvis. What's going on?" she replied quickly. "Your husband, Chief Williams, he's been in a terrible accident. Please, you need to come to the hospital right now." There was silence for a few seconds. Then Agnese screamed, "What? Which hospital? I'm coming immediately." She grabbed her car keys, rushed out of her friend's house, and sped down the road. Her heart raced with fear. She could barely see as tears filled her eyes. When she arrived at the hospital, she ran straight to the emergency ward. Nurses tried to stop her, but she pushed through. And there, lying still on the bed, was her husband. Chief Williams looked lifeless. His head was bandaged, eyes covered, and machines beeped quietly beside him. She froze, her breath caught in her throat. "Chief, my love, what happened to you?" she cried, kneeling beside him and holding his hand. Dr. Elvis walked into the room with a grave look on his face. Agnesi immediately stood up, wiping tears from her eyes. "Doctor, please, tell me the truth," she said shakily. "How is my husband?" Dr. Elvis took a deep breath, holding a tablet in his hand. "Mrs. Williams, I'm afraid the results are not good." Her heart skipped. "What do you mean, doctor?" He sighed again. "Your husband sustained a severe spinal cord fracture precisely between the thoracic and lumbar regions. In simple terms, it means the nerves controlling his lower body are badly damaged." Agnesi's lips trembled. "You mean he can't walk?" Dr. Elvis nodded slowly. "At least, not for now. The injury is what we call a chronic spinal subluxation with partial cord compression. We'll keep monitoring, but it's a very delicate case. To be honest with you, I don't think he could walk again with this kind of internal damage." She burst into tears. "Oh my God, no!" But the doctor wasn't done. "And there's more," he continued carefully. "He also suffered what we call an optic nerve trauma, with bilateral visual impairment. Both eyes were affected by the shock and blood pressure during the crash. There's a high chance he might never see again." Agnesi gasped, covering her mouth. "You mean my husband is blind?" "I'm afraid so," Dr. Elvis said solemnly. "He can hear you, but his visual system, the retina and optic pathways seem unresponsive. We'll try every treatment available, but it's critical." Agnesi fell to her knees, crying uncontrollably. "No, not my husband, please, God!" Dr. Elvis placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "Mrs. Williams, I understand how you feel, but right now, he needs you more than ever. This is the time to show your love, your loyalty, and your strength." She nodded weakly, sobbing. For the next few days, Agnesi stayed by her husband's side almost every hour. She cried whenever she saw him lying helpless on the hospital bed, his eyes covered with thick white bandages and his legs motionless under the sheets. Dr. Elvis and the nurses admired her commitment. To them, she looked like the perfect, devoted wife. But the honest truth was that Agnesi was not loyal. She was having an affair with someone else. All those images that had been sent to Chief Williams were real. She had a side chick, and she had already started planning on how to steal his money and run away. Now he's blind and crippled. Although he lay still and quiet, he could hear everything. Every word, every sigh, every whisper around him. He wasn't blind to reality, only pretending. When Agnesi thought he was asleep, she sometimes scrolled through her phone, laughing at chats he couldn't see. But he could hear the faint buzz of her messages and the sound of her typing. At times, she would sigh deeply and mumble to herself, "God, how long will I have to live like this? A blind and crippled man? What kind of life is this? I didn't come to this life to suffer for real. I don't think I can continue like this." Those words pierced his heart like sharp glass. But still, he kept silent. He needed to see how far she would go. A few days later, Dr. Elvis discharged him from the hospital and arranged for special home care. The mansion was adjusted for his supposed condition, ramps were built, a wheelchair was provided, and special nurses were assigned to assist him. He was now being carried about on a wheelchair and wore a sunglass on his eye. Agnesi acted like a loving wife for a while. She would feed him, help him dress, and sometimes play soft music in the background to lift his mood. But soon, her patience began to fade. One afternoon while she was feeding him, he mistakenly spilled the soup on her dress. She frowned instantly. "Can't you be careful for once?" she shouted. Chief Williams lowered his head, pretending to be weak. I'm sorry, my dear. I didn't mean to. Just keep quiet, she snapped. You've done enough already. From that day, her tone changed completely. She began to come home late, sometimes smelling of perfume that wasn't hers. When the chief asked, she would say, "Oh, I went to visit a friend. I needed some fresh air." But deep inside, Chief Williams could feel that something wasn't right. Days turned into weeks, and Agnesi's affection toward her husband decreased. She barely talked to him anymore, and when she did, it was often with irritation. One night, while pretending to sleep, Chief Williams overheard her whispering on the phone, "Baby, you know I can't just leave yet. I need to wait a little more. Let people pity me first, then I'll join you. Trust me, this man's condition is permanent. He can't even see me again. I'm just waiting for the right time to withdraw all the money he has and leave him in his misery." A single tear rolled down his cheek. The woman he had loved so dearly was already planning her next move, while he lay helplessly in silence. But little did she know, the blind man was watching everything, and soon her game would come to an end. Chief Williams sat quietly in his private study in their room late that night, the air heavy with silence. The curtains were drawn, and a single dim light cast a soft glow across the room. Though the world believed he was blind, his eyes were open wide, alert and filled with silent rage. Dr. Elvis was the only man who knew the truth. No bodyguard, no driver, no family. Meanwhile, Chief Williams also had cameras mounted almost everywhere in his house. Around 12:45 a.m., she walked upstairs in a silk gown, her hair loose over her shoulders. She stopped by the long window in the hallway, gazing outside as if waiting for someone. Chief Williams stared at the live feed, his chest tight. Moments later, a shadow appeared. A man slipped quietly through the back gate and crept toward the house. Agnesi opened the upstairs window slightly, her face glowing under the moonlight. The man smiled. She placed a finger on her lips, signaling him to be quiet, then turned toward the staircase to meet him. Chief Williams clenched his fists. He could hardly breathe as he watched her lead the man toward the guest room. She looked nothing like the crying wife she had pretended to be hours earlier. There was laughter in her voice, lightness in her steps, the kind of joy that used to belong to him. Inside the guest room, she poured him a drink. They sat close, whispering. He touched her hair, and she didn't resist. Their laughter grew louder, careless, shameless. She moved to the window, staring at the night, and he came behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. She whispered something, and both of them laughed again. Chief Williams closed his eyes in pain, but the image stayed. He heard her voice faintly through the recording, sweet, deceitful, and full of lies. "I can't wait till everything is ours," she said softly. "Once I get the money, we'll leave this country. He's useless now, blind and crippled. What's left of him?" That moment broke him completely. His chest tightened, his throat felt dry. He couldn't tell if the tears on his face were from pain or from relief, because at least now he knew the truth. He guided her to the bed with a slow, deliberate push, his hands warm and steady against her shoulders. "I've missed us," he whispered, voice low, trembling with longing and something sharper. "Your husband has been a wall between us, but tonight it's my turn to finish you." Her laugh spilled out, soft but reckless, as his fingers traced her skin, each touch igniting sparks of memory and desire. He explored her, coaxing her senses awake until her breath quickened, her body yielding to the pull. Their eyes locked, faces flickering with need and surrender, soft moans weaving through the quiet. He touched her again, and then did what her husband was supposed to do. Chief Williams was so disappointed to an extent he closed his laptop and went to bed. He never expected such betrayal in his life. The next morning, Agnesi woke up with a radiant smile on her face. She stretched gently, humming to herself, her body still glowing from the pleasure of the previous night. She looked fresh, calm, and unusually cheerful. When she came downstairs, she greeted Chief Williams warmly, her tone soft and charming. "Good morning, my love," she said, placing his breakfast on the table. Her voice carried a sweetness that almost felt forced. Chief Williams turned his head slowly toward her, pretending to remain the same weak man she believed him to be. "You sound very happy this morning," he said calmly. She chuckled lightly. "Oh, I just slept so well," she said, smiling. "I don't know. I just feel light and joyful today." He nodded gently. "That's good," he replied with a faint smile, a smile that hid the fire burning inside him. He already knew the real reason behind her happiness. After breakfast, she came closer to him again, pretending to adjust his shirt. Then she said softly, "Honey, I need to pick up a few things from the market today." Chief Williams kept his face calm. "All right, no problem," he said. Then she added casually, "But please, I need your credit card. There are some things I want to buy, and I don't have enough cash on me." He nodded again. "Go to the wardrobe in our room. You'll find 3 of my cards there. Take the red one. It's for spending." Her eyes lit up. "Thank you, baby," she said and hurried upstairs. Inside the room, she opened the wardrobe and saw the cards neatly placed in a small leather pouch. 3 cards. 1 linked to his main business account, 1 for personal spending, and 1 connected to his private savings. She stared at them for a few seconds, her hands trembling slightly not from fear, but from excitement. Her plan was simple: withdraw everything, transfer what she could, and disappear with her lover forever. Without hesitation, she took all 3 cards, zipped her bag, and looked around the room one last time. "Goodbye, my foolish husband," she whispered under her breath. Downstairs, she met the gatekeeper. "Madam, you day travel?" he asked. She smiled. "Yes, just a short vacation. I'll be back tomorrow." "Okay, madam. Safe journey," the man said, opening the gate. Agnese drove off quickly, heading first to the bank. She withdrew large sums of money, made some transfers to her accounts, and smiled as she watched the figures on her phone screen. When she was done, she drove straight to her lover's house, her heart pounding with excitement. Today was the beginning of their new life. But fate had other plans. As soon as she opened the door to the man's house, she froze. Standing in the living room were 2 police officers, their faces stern and expressionless. Her lover, the same man she had spent the night with, was already handcuffed, sitting on the floor with fear written all over his face. "Jesus!" she screamed, her bag dropping from her hand. And then, Chief Williams walked in. No wheelchair, no bandages, no dark glasses. He stood tall, firm, and commanding his presence alone was enough to silence the room. Agnese gasped, stepping backward in disbelief. "Chief?" Her voice trembled. He took a slow step toward her, his eyes locked on hers. "It was all a plan," he said coldly. "Everything you saw, everything you touched, every word you spoke, I watched it all." Her knees weakened instantly. "Chief, please, I can explain." He interrupted. "Explain what? How you plan to steal my money and run away with this man? Or how you spent last night in his arms while pretending to be my loving wife?" Tears streamed down her cheeks as she fell to her knees. "I swear I didn't mean it." "Enough!" his voice thundered. "I saw the videos, Agnese. I saw you. I heard you. I knew every step you took. When you smiled at me this morning, I knew what kind of woman stood before me." She tried to crawl closer, reaching for his leg, but he stepped back. "You betrayed me, Agnese. You betrayed everything we built. I gave you my world, and you sold it for pleasure and greed." Her lover tried to speak, but one of the officers silenced him immediately. Chief Williams turned to the officers. "Take them away." The policeman grabbed her lover and led him out. Agnese screamed and tried to run after them, but another officer blocked her. "Chief, please," she cried, sobbing uncontrollably. "Please forgive me. I beg you, don't do this to me." He stared at her for a moment, cold and unflinching. "I once loved you," he said softly. But that woman I loved died the moment you chose betrayal. Left the place and headed straight to his house. He called Dr. Elvis. Doctor, he said in a low tone, I've seen it all. Every single thing I suspected turned out to be true. Dr. Elvis sounded stunned. Chief, you mean she actually failed you? Yes, Chief Williams replied. She did everything. She slept with that man in our guest room, and this morning she tried to empty my entire account. But I was ready for her. The doctor sighed heavily. Chief, you're truly a man of wisdom. I never thought this plan would unfold so perfectly. You've really proven that even love must be tested. Chief Williams gave a faint, broken smile. Thank you, Doctor, for standing by me through all this. You've not only treated my body, but you've also helped me heal from the lies surrounding my heart. Within hours, the news spread like wildfire. Every major blog and gossip site carried the headline, Billionaire's wife caught cheating, tried to flee with $400 million. Her photos and videos circulated everywhere. People who once envied her now mocked her. Agnes Perkins had become a public disgrace. A week later, her parents arrived at Chief Williams' house, humble and heartbroken. Her mother, dressed in a simple wrapper, fell on her knees before him. Chief, please, she cried. Our daughter has brought shame to us, but we beg you, forgive her. She wasn't herself. The devil used her. Please, sir, have mercy. Her father added softly, Chief Williams, you've been good to our family. Don't let this be the end. Everyone makes mistakes. Please, let this not destroy her completely. Chief Williams looked at them with a calm face. He said nothing for a long while. Inside, his heart was torn between anger and pity. The woman he once called his queen had betrayed him in the worst way possible. But still, could forgiveness heal what was already broken? So this question now goes to you, watching this story. If you were in Chief Williams' shoes, would you forgive Agnes? Would you give her another chance? Or would you let her face the full consequences of her actions? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And before you go, if you enjoyed this story, make sure you like this video, share it with others, and of course, hit that subscribe button for more stories like this. Thank you so much for watching. See you in our next video.